with the Indiana Fever today. Unfortunately, we have the horrific, terrible news that Sophie Cunningham is officially out for the rest of the season with a torn MCL.
Sophie Cunningham's season came to a sudden and brutal end. One reckless play on the court left her crumpled on the hardwood, clutching her knee in agony. Later, the diagnosis confirmed every fan's worst fear, a torn MCL. But strangely enough, the injury itself wasn't what dominated the headlines. It wasn't what took over social media or ignited debates across the sports world. What truly set the internet ablaze was what happened next.
It's just keep coming for the Indiana Fever. Not unexpected that Sophie Cunningham ruled out for the season, but devastating nonetheless as the injuries just continue to pile up. Of course, Sydney Colson already out for the season, Ari McDonald out for the season, and now Sophie Cunningham out for the season. That's with Caitlin Clark still out and having been out for much of the season.
As Sophie lay on the floor, writhing in pain, cameras caught something shocking. Just a few feet away, Bria Hartley was seen smiling. For some, it looked like a smirk. For others, maybe a nervous reaction. But to countless fans, it seemed like something darker, a sign of satisfaction. The clip went viral instantly. Comment sections exploded with outrage. Was she actually happy to see Sophie hurt? People asked. Meanwhile, the referees chose not to intervene. No review, no flagrant foul, nothing. And the league? Silent. The combination of Hartley's grin, the officials' inaction, and the league's silence created a storm that couldn't be contained.
Sophie Cunningham was targeted, y'all. I'm telling you right now, Sophie Cunningham was targeted by Bria Hartley, and it just is what it is. It is what it is. I don't want to sit here and play games and act like, you know, she wasn't. She was targeted by Bria Hartley, and that's just the fact of the matter. And people can act like it's not all they want. I told you guys this girl was a dirty player. And that's all she did today was show how dirty she is.
This was no ordinary injury. It became a tipping point, a moment that went beyond basketball. And Sophie, she wasn't going down quietly. What she would say later had everyone buzzing. But first, it was that infamous grin. The broadcast camera zoomed in at the exact second Sophie lay helpless on the floor. Hartley's smile, frozen in a single frame, sent shockwaves through fan base. For many, that moment changed everything.
Look, you can tell Bria Hartley, in my opinion, she launched herself into her knee. She did. And I've seen some of the reaction online. And guys, it's despicable. It really is. There's a lot of people celebrating this injury. And guess what? You can imagine who it is. It's members of the old WNBA fandom, the ones that root for Paige Beckers and Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and all the usual damn suspects.
That single snapshot spread across the internet like wildfire. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everyone was talking about it. The questions poured in. How could any professional athlete smile at a moment like this? Was it disbelief? Was it joy? Or was it cruelty? Fans debated furiously, but to many, the meaning was clear. It didn't look like shock. It didn't look like nerves. It looked like Hartley was pleased to see Sophie hurt. And that perception is what lit the firestorm.
Announcing her being out with an MCL tear, which, by the way, the MCL tear, relatively speaking, is good news because it's not an ACL tear. She's not out for like a year or anything, but she's out for the rest of this year. And they're going to miss her toughness. They're going to miss her shooting. They're going to miss her playmaking to a degree.
It's incredible how one image can tell such a different story than the play itself. In those emotionally charged seconds, coincidences don't feel like coincidences. People were convinced there was intent behind that smile, whether Hartley meant it or not. And once fans made up their minds, there was no turning back.
It is terrible. You don't want to see anybody go out, especially with an injury. And Sophie Cunningham has been kind of like the heartbeat of this team with Caitlin Clark being out. She's like the first player we actually seen come out and stand up for Caitlin Clark and have her back. So this definitely sucks. And beyond her having Caitlin Clark back, her play on the floor.
But the controversy didn't stop there. The referees made no call, no flagrant, no review, no attempt to even pause the game. Sophie Cunningham's season had just ended before everyone's eyes, and yet the game moved on like nothing had happened. Fans were furious. They felt the officials had treated a devastating injury as if it were just another foul. Social media erupted. Commentators, fans, even former players pointed to a bigger issue, a pattern of referees allowing dangerous plays to slide without consequence. And Sophie's injury became the rallying example.
This has been an injury-riddled season for the team and Sophie Cunningham. You got to remember, she had that ankle injury, which is why she's wearing an ankle brace in the game. She had that in the beginning of the season. She was dealing with an injury. She fought back, came off the bench, got into the starting lineup, and she started lighting it up for us. She was knocking down the threes. She was bringing that energy, and us fans wanted her to get more shots, and we were upset at the fact that she's standing around wide open looking for the ball, and she's just not getting the ball on a lot of these possessions.
When the MRI confirmed the torn MCL, there was one tiny silver lining. It wasn't her ACL. That meant Sophie wouldn't be out for an entire year. But her season? Finished. For the Indiana Fever, this was devastating news. They weren't just losing a starter. They were losing one of their toughest competitors, a reliable shooter and a fiery playmaker.
And Sophie Cunningham's sister was none too happy about it and slammed the WNBA. Maybe you should focus less on finding players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. It's pathetic. Praying for you, Sophie. That's Lindsay. That's her sister. Well, her sister made this comment, and it brought out the scumbag.
This was more than just an injury. It was a turning point in the Fever season. Sophie wasn't just a role player. She was a core piece of their chemistry. Her toughness and leadership defined their energy on the court. Losing her wasn't just about points. It was about spirit, intensity, and belief. With her gone, the question loomed, how would Indiana hold it together?
Bria, and I'm actually really good friends with Bria, and I had been waiting to get on the pod and so we could talk about this because I did want to tweet it out, but I don't think that there was no ill intent. I think it was basketball play. I was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. She fell. Like, there's no way that she would go in there and potentially try to hurt me. And so I had nothing but love for Bria. And I even told my mom, because she tweeted something, and I was like, no, Mom, I get it, but I promise you that I was like, Bria and I are super cool, and she would never try to hurt me, because there are some girls that I think might, but she wouldn't do that. And so I have nothing but love. And so I hope people stop giving Bria some heat, because I don't think she meant to do that.
Fans quickly connected Sophie's situation to a larger pattern. This wasn't an isolated case. Dangerous plays have been ignored all season long. And now, one of the league's most competitive players was paying the price. For years, fans had complained that referees were too lenient, that they allowed overly physical play in the name of letting the game flow. But this time, it had gone too far. The backlash was bigger than ever before.
Officially, 3 for 3 on being fined by the WNBA.
Holy shit. For this? For the pod? Again?
They didn't like my comments on Paige Becker's.
No way.
I didn't even say anything bad.
On the whistle? On the quick whistle?
Yeah. But why?
The truth became impossible to ignore. The players were paying the price for the league's inaction. And Sophie Cunningham wasn't about to stay quiet. She called out the lack of accountability, reminding people of the time she was fined just for criticizing referees. The irony was clear. Players were punished for speaking out, yet officials faced no consequences for failing to protect them.
You come at Sophie's sister, you come at Sophie. And Sophie saw this comment, and bless her heart, she answered it. She answered it. Some of us were raised by the words of, quote, don't bite off more than you can chew. And some of us didn't. Quote, F around and find out. F around and find out. Kiss. God bless this woman. Yeah, seriously. She's great.
For Sophie's family, the anger ran even deeper. To them, it wasn't just about the injury. It was about the system's broken priorities. The league cared more about silencing outspoken players than about protecting their health and careers. Sophie's frustration wasn't just with Hartley or with one night of officiating. It was with the entire structure that allowed these moments to keep happening.
It's hilarious that this hater out there, and there's a lot of them right now. I said yesterday they're mad because Sophie's being called a superstar and this and that and the other. Yeah, Sophie's got more pull than your Asia Wilson. I mean, Asia's on this monumental run. I literally wouldn't have known that if I hadn't stumbled across somebody that said, well, the WNBA is making Asia Wilson's late season MVP push. Sometimes, I mean, you just got to pay attention. The WNBA wants to protect certain people and certain players.
And then came the moment that turned Sophie from injured player to symbol of defiance. She delivered a line that instantly became iconic. F around and find out. Short, sharp, defiant. It was a declaration to the league, to her critics, and to anyone who thought this injury had broken her. Fans went wild. Social media turned the phrase into a rallying cry. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just defending herself. She was calling on everyone to stand up and fight. This was a new Sophie. A tougher, louder, unapologetic Sophie.
Atkins, 7 to shoot. Cardoso rolls, catch. Cardoso over the top, can't get it. Reese fights for the rebound and a foul, and this time gets a little chippy and a shove on Nelson Adota. And listen, this arena, typically we'll see some ringside fights, and Charles this time trying to fight through.
Overnight, she shifted from being seen as a victim to being celebrated as a fighter. And fans couldn't get enough of it. But for the Fever, the reality was harsh. With Sophie sidelined and Caitlin Clark already battling injuries, their season suddenly looked uncertain. Their comeback win against the Connecticut Sun gave hope, but the question lingered. Could they really keep this going without their stars?
Sophie Cunningham, let's be clear here. Sophie Cunningham was targeted. Let's be very, very clear here. Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty, dirty player.
The win against Connecticut wasn't just about the scoreboard. It was about identity. The Fever proved they weren't just Sophie's team. Other players stepped up, showing grit and determination. But even with the win, there was no denying the hole Sophie left behind. Her energy, her edge, her relentless drive, it couldn't be replicated. The Fever had to reinvent themselves on the fly.
Was saved against the Connecticut Sun, but can it be salvaged, I guess, is the question here, because Sophie Cunningham was one of the better players for the Fever all year. She is going to be tough to replace, even if the rest of the squad can get to full strength. But as they've battled, as they've continued to fight, to me, you don't punt on the season, because you don't know how many chances you get, and you have to reward that grit. The question just goes back to, again, when is Caitlin Clark going to be back? There remains no clarity on that topic.
Coach Stephanie White tried to keep spirits high. She praised her team's toughness, saying it was something you couldn't teach. She admired their resilience. But beneath her words was an undeniable truth. Sophie's injury was yet another glaring example of the league's failure to protect its athletes. White's pride in her players was real, but so was her awareness that the road ahead just got much steeper.
Kelsey Mitchell! Every game is a home game! Listen to the crowd in Connecticut! Final score in overtime! Fever 99, Sun 93! And Indiana completes the greatest comeback in franchise history!
Sophie's injury shined a spotlight on a bigger issue, one that had been simmering for years. Fans and players had long been asking for stricter enforcement of safety rules. Too often, referees had let dangerous plays go, and the result was clear. Shortened careers, shattered seasons, and players paying the price.
Kelsey Mitchell has a new career high! Backdoor Mitchell, outsing in the paint for two. Kelsey Mitchell, the pig is snatched up. Mitchell squeezing through for two at the foul. Fouls on the other end. It's Mitchell launching it.
This wasn't just about Sophie. It wasn't just one night. It was a pattern. And the uncomfortable question hung heavy. How many more players would have to go down before the league finally changed? How much longer would the league prioritize flow of the game over the safety of its athletes?
Another double-double for Aaliyah Boston. Boston will fire a three. And Boston the putback. Push the foul. Oh, look at Boston just muscle her way into Charles and lay it in. Boston deep position. Boston pretty spin. Back to Boston. Who ties the game?
Boston now with her 15th double-double of the year. That's a new Fever franchise record.
The outrage wasn't just about one play anymore. Fans felt ignored, dismissed, even disrespected. They had seen this before. Injuries caused by missed calls, reckless plays going unpunished, and nothing had changed. Their anger boiled over, and it wasn't directed at Hartley alone or at the referees. It was aimed at the entire league.
Shot clock down to 6 for the Fever. Turner, up fade. Turner kicks it. Hole three-pointer. Bottom!
Indiana's just...
And then, Sophie turned her personal nightmare into something bigger. She refused to let the injury define her as a victim. Instead, she transformed it into a symbol of resilience. She became a voice for every player who had been ignored, a fighter for those who felt unprotected. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just speaking about her own pain. She was standing up for an entire community of athletes. And in that moment, she became more than a player. She became a leader.
I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you too. Proud of you. I'm so proud of you guys. I know that sometimes it sounds like just a word when we talk about being resilient, but it's not, man. It's how we live. Yep. It's how y'all live, and it's a tribute to you. It's a tribute to your connectedness, your togetherness, your toughness, your mindset. You never give up gritty attitudes. Like, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And
in the aftermath, Sophie's family and her supporters doubled down. They weren't asking politely. They were demanding change. Independent reviews of officiating, clearer standards for flagrant fouls, real accountability from the league. And this time, the pressure was real. Fans weren't just venting online. They were organizing, uniting, and demanding action. What started as one injury had grown into a movement, and the league could no longer hide.